All right, let's get into it. Right into it. Billionaires and people living on the streets, they share the exact same thoughts as everyone else. They continually run through their heads, and it happens every single day, thousands of times a second. There's just one decisive difference that determines who wins the good game of life and who doesn't. The truth about success is that almost nobody wants to hear is that success is 100% self-selection. It goes all the way back to Socrates, who said the hardest thing to know is to know thyself. And most people never truly examine their own behavior, beliefs, circumstances, and they never look at it in a clear, rationable, and actionable way. They stay stuck. They're just stay spinning their wheels like a car stuck in the mud in the South. They blame the outside world and they wonder why life feels like an uphill battle. So we're going to talk about this here for the next few minutes. I am Glenn Hughes. I'm a licensed realtor here in Northern Virginia, one of the co-founders of 23 Homes. That's 23homes.com. I'm a licensed project manager, licensed general contractor, and for fun, I am also a licensed soccer coach who loves watching people win in every area of their life. If you're new here, welcome. If this resonates, hits like home, then we're going to have a lot of really good information. At this particular point, if you could subscribe, hit the like button, drop a comment, send me an email. All that information is down here. Refer a friend or family member who buys or sells real estate with 23 Homes, and you'll earn 3 full years of insider access behind the paywall. The unedited, no holds barred content is behind the paywall. And here's what this show is all about. I deliberately avoid the classic dinner party landmines: sex, money, politics, religion, because those particular topics get people canceled fast. Both sides of the aisle love the cancel culture, and I can't afford to play those games right now. I'm just not wealthy enough. Maybe with your help, I can make it. Give me a couple referrals, please. Thank you for your referrals. Even huge Hollywood names are terrified of the cancel culture. In a recent conversation I watched with Bill Maher on the Bill Maher Club, he had Drew Barrymore. Now, I grew up with Drew Barrymore since she was a little girl, going through all the movies that she did. Fabulous actress. And she's been in the spotlight really her entire life. However, she openly admitted that it's just way too dangerous right now to speak certain truths. She and Maher both talked about lingering fear of saying something in public that would be totally fine in a private conversation, yet could still get you attacked, boycotted, destroyed by the outrage machine, and who knows what side they're going to come from. Maher himself admitted that he still lives with that paranoia even after years of pushing back against woke excess. If these icons that everybody's heard of are pulling punches, you know the climate that we live in today is toxic. Outside the paywall, there's some natural self-censorship. Inside the paywall, you're paying for pure, uncut truth and experiential knowledge. Instead, we dive into the true controversy, the true territory that most people sidestep. We discuss on this podcast belief systems, financial vehicles, how to make good decisions, taking care of your health, personal performance, relationships, building legacy, and giving back to your community. Everything I share comes from my own personal real-world experience. Nothing is made up. I'm still on the journey, not quite at 50 million net worth yet, but getting there. Every day I'm chugging away just a small amount of effort moving in that direction. So come along and let's enjoy the ride together. The core idea behind this podcast is that only about 9 to 11% of the people in the U.S. feel like they're truly winning in their finances, relationships, family health, and have a sense of purpose. That means that roughly 90% feel stuck, believing external forces are too powerful for them to overcome. My position here in this podcast is simple. Everything starts on the inside, between your ears, inside your head. The enemy is almost always within. whether it's the economy, the government, politics, policies, market conditions. They all certainly matter, and we'll talk about them honestly. But your internal operating system determines how you respond. Two people can look at the exact same picture and see two different things. So, how do you align the belief system so it's moving you forward versus stalling you out or, quite frankly, dragging you behind? And we'll break down really complex ideas into small, practical, bite-sized frameworks that you can actually use. One of my favorite is that people don't appreciate anything that's for free, and we'll get into that. We'll also talk about zero-sum thinking, victim mentality, envy, ego, and all the limited belief structures that are sometimes get into the 7 areas that just pull you down, such as greed or slothfulness or resentment is a big one. And we replace all that negative thinking with clarity, personal responsibility, show you how to be coachable. Most people are not coachable, and show you the systems that stack the odds in your favor. Even if you're a negative thinker, you don't have much control. As long as you follow some of the systems that I outlined here, you will still be successful. So I do know the show's not for everybody. If you don't believe in meritocracy, I get it. If you're committed to blaming external forces, like I used to do, if you're married to resentment or not a good spouse, you probably won't like what I have to say. And that's okay. But if you're coachable, hungry for more, ready to take ownership of your own results, you are in the right place. So let's go back to 1999. During the dot-com bubble, I was grinding it out, paying down my first mortgage on my townhouse. I was living below my means, not way below it, but way below a typical type of salary that I had, below that for sure. And on this typical W-2 Sunday, a friend invited me to a cookout. When I walked in, there was a brand new $1,500 big screen TV above his fireplace, easily $3,000, $3,500, only because back then plasma was the thing. But his 3 buddies were there, and they were riding high on the home equity line of credits. One took out $100,000, if I remember correctly, another 40, and then the other guy took out about 35. And what did they do with this? So they got into debt and they bought toys, vacations, depreciable. How is a vacation a depreciable asset? Cars, there's a depreciable asset. All while poking fun at me, making me the brunt of their humor, laughing at me for focusing in on paying my mortgage during the biggest real estate boom in history. 25 years later, 2 of those guys went bankrupt, multiple divorces, a lot of misery. I just kept building my system. And that day taught me something I've never forgotten. That's the reason why it's such a great story. The difference between where they ended up and where I was going wasn't luck, timing, or the economy. It was how they thought. It was their belief system. And I'll actually tell you what they said to me at that particular cookout. It's their belief systems about money, success, debt, and responsibility. My final invitation to you: if something feels off in your life and you know you're capable of more for yourself, for your family, then this is the right community to be in. Think about those iconic moments. Tony Stark in Iron Man 2 discovering a filmed message from his father, Howard. It's a time capsule reaching across decades, guiding Tony towards a better future. How many films have explored this type of concept, where characters meet their future selves, receiving wisdom from the past? This podcast is my version of that time capsule. I'm deliberately reaching into the future to share my map for success, the hard-earned frameworks, mindset, and lessons I wish I could have been handed directly back when I was in my early 20s, because I really wanted something like this. But now I have to hand these lessons to my kids, grandkids, and hopefully generations beyond. This is my legacy of how I think, what I think about growing and winning, and I'm recording it now so it can serve those who come after me. We'll focus on 5 pillars of winning a life of winning in life and what a winning life looks like. I'm going to give you clear, actionable frameworks, and we build lifetime relationships with people who want to grow, want to make money, want to feel good, look good, and leave something meaningful behind. Join the insiders behind the paywall for the full experience. Subscribe, share, email me. Let's build something great together. And you are in the good game of life. Let's make sure you win it. I'm Glenn Hughes, and I'll see you at the next episode.